eva sarvasaha. Indriyan indriyartebhyas tasya pragya pratisthita. One who is unable to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. So one who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The test of a yogi, devotee, or self-realized soul is that he is able to control the senses according to his plan. Most people, however, are servants of the senses and are thus directed by the dictation of the senses. That is the answer to the question as to how the yogi is situated. The senses are compared to venomous serpents. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. The yogi or the devotee must be very strong to control the serpent. Like a snake charmer, he never allows the snake to act independently. There are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures. Some of them are do nots, and some of them are do's. Unless one is able to follow the do's and do nots, restricting oneself from sense enjoyment, it is not possible to be firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. The best example set herein is the tortoise. The tortoise can at any moment wind up his senses and exhibit them again at any time for a particular purpose. Similarly, the senses of the Krishna conscious person are used only for some particular purpose in the service of the Lord and are withdrawn otherwise. Arjuna is being taught here to use his senses for the service of the Lord instead of for his own satisfaction. Keeping the senses always in the service of the Lord is the example set by the analogy of the tortoise who keeps the senses within. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So this is a very interesting verse because, all the verses are interesting, but this is very interesting because it says, the senses are compared to venomous serpents. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. The yogi or the devotee must be very strong to control the serpent. Like a snake charmer, he never allows them to act independently. So this means that in a normal day, we hear and see many things. And each one of those things that catches our interest can influence us, influence our behavior, influence our desires, influence our, let's say, goals in life. Therefore, we have to be very careful about what we see, what we hear, and obviously what we do. The person who is engaging in illicit activities, how do you begin to engage in illicit activities? You hear things that are illicit, and you have an affinity to see those things. Then you see those things, and now you want to do those things. Therefore, it's very important to protect children from hearing, seeing, and desiring illicit things. All you have to do is open a television, and very quickly you'll see murders, you'll see things about sex, you'll see politicians, and so forth. There's a lot of filthy stuff on the in the television programs. So children should be protected from associating with such things. Now you might think, "Oh no, I only let my kid watch Disney films." They're also contaminating. Uh, so it's best not to have any of those weapons of mass uh, distraction. A television, a video, cell phone, these are all weapons of mass distraction. Some kids are given a cell phone, and all day long, every day, day and night, they're on the cell phone talking with their friends. And who knows what kind of rubbish they're hearing and desiring. And who gave them the cell phone? The parents. Now, if you don't give them a cell phone, but they see that all the other kids have cell phones, or sometimes the teacher says you need a cell phone to be able to get your homework. Uh, so, but actually, you don't have to give a cell phone to a kid in order to get the homework. The parent can have a cell phone and get the homework. But we see that parents easily give cell phones to their kids, and later on they regret it because the kid will be on the cell phone every day for many, many hours. So, best thing is no cell phone and no television and uh, no computer. Uh, so, is it possible to live like that today? Yes. People lived like that for hundreds and millions of years. They didn't die. In fact, they probably had a better life. So, but the problem is, so many other kids have cell phones and all these other things. So obviously, your child will be upset. Therefore, don't send your child to these schools because they're going to become corrupted by the other kids and also by the teachers. So the education today is not good at all. Not good at all. So-called education. It's not education. It is grooming children to become vishayis, sense gratified. So what to do? Educate them at home and keep your home free of all these weapons of mass distraction. Cell phones, televisions, computers, all those things. You have a group of people called uh, the they are Jewish. Well, you could call them somewhat fanatics. Before they let a Jewish boy or girl enter their school, they insist on coming to the house and investigating it. And if they see a cell phone or a television in the house or a computer, they won't let the kid go to school, their school. You can't have those things if you uh, want your kid to come to school. And that's correct. I think that's a good point. I think it's a good strategy because these are all weapons of mass distraction. Someone can stay on the cell phone all day long or They can be watching movies. They can go anywhere they want in the world on a cell phone. And the same thing with television, same thing with any of these so-called, I call them weapons of mass distraction. There are weapons of mass destruction and there's weapons of mass distraction. So here Prabhupada says, the senses are compared to venomous serpents. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. The yogi or the devotee must be very strong to control the serpent, like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. Now, you see, as soon as you give that cell phone to the kid, usually the parents let the kid play with the cell phone when he's only 2 years old, right? And by the time he's 3 years old, he knows everything about the cell phone. Mm-hmm. And if you take it away from him, he'll start crying, he'll have a tantrum, and he won't stop until he gets the cell phone back. Now, who gave him the cell phone? The parents. And afterwards, they regret doing it. And then there's the phony thing that, oh, well, I can't get my homework unless I have a cell phone. The teacher said I need the cell phone to find out what my homework is. And that's all. I mean, obviously, maybe that's a fact, but maybe it's better not to send your kid to that school. You see. So we see that everything is aiming at contaminating the consciousness of your child today. And you'll be shocked at what they teach in school today to kids. And very, very nasty stuff. And you have no control over it. And therefore, by putting your kid in these public schools or even private schools, it's a type of child abuse. So better to just educate them at home. That way you have control on what they're hearing and seeing, and not have any of these weapons of mass destruction, the distraction in the house. And that way, the children will grow up to be self-sufficient and not interested in nonsense. Okay, so usually it was in the past important that children not engage in illicit sex, and therefore they remained chaste until they got married. It was a badge of honor. And if a girl is 16 or 18 years old or 20 years old and never had sex, or the boy also never had sex, that was a badge of honor for people. Nowadays, they think, oh, no, the badge of honor is how many times you had sex and how many times you did this and how many times you did that. So we have to go back to the concept of chastity of boys and girls. And therefore, there should not be free mingling of boys and girls until they get married. If you say this, the people get upset and they'll think, "Oh, you're just a archaic specimen with these old-fashioned norms." They're not old-fashioned; they are the right things for young people to grow up with. Why? Because if they can control their mind and their senses, then they can study very well and not be agitated all the time or distracted all the time. Today, the kids are very much distracted by all these weapons of distraction. and they can't concentrate. But if you protect them, then they'll remain celibate until the day they get married. And you don't need to have sex education. Uh, it's something that you'll learn naturally. You don't really need education, but yet they have these courses in school of sex education, right? And these kids are, 12 years old, and they're learning all about, how you can have sex, how you can use condoms, how you can do this, how you can do that. All nonsense things. Okay, so there is there is competition for the brain of your child. So many people are trying to contaminate the mind of the children today. You know, the homosexuals, they have their agenda. The demoniac, they have their agenda, and so forth. So there's competition to control the minds of children. And uh, most of the competitors are nasty people, like a sexual predator. He's trying to control the mind of a child. And so many people are trying to control the minds of children. And children are vulnerable. They don't have the experience to recognize who's good and who's bad. So a sex, let's say, maniac will, uh, they have access to associate with your child. They'll take them out, give them ice cream, take them to a movie, this and that, and eventually they'll violate the child. So we should never trust any your children to anybody. You should always have your eye on your children and not have them going out with other people or associating with other people, especially the sleepover at night. That's the worst thing you can do because they'll stay up all night talking nonsense and giggling and who knows what else. Right. So it's important to always have your eye on your child and make sure they don't come in contact with any of these disgusting things that are going on today. So here it says the senses are compared to venomous serpents. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. The yogi or the devotee must be very strong to control the serpent, like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. There are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures. Some of them are do nots, and some of them are do's. Unless one is able to follow the do's and do nots, restricting oneself from sense enjoyment, it is not possible to be firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. That's the gospel truth right there. Very important statement in chapter 2, text 58 in the purport. Very, very important statement. So we should take this to actually, this is one of those things we should print and put up. Just like every time I see something important like this, I tell Adi Dev, print this and put it up in the temple. So, okay, so this is chapter 2, verse 58. The yogi or the devotee must be very strong to control the serpent like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. Okay, wait a minute. The senses are compared to venomous serpents. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. The yogi or the devotee must be very strong to control the serpents like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. That should be printed. So you can tell Adi Dev to print that. Mm-hmm. We're going to have these things all over the temple pretty soon. Yeah. We already have them in many places, but we're going to add more now. All right, so uh, Arjuna is being taught here to use the senses for the service of the Lord instead of for his own satisfaction. Keeping the senses always in the service of the Lord is the example set by the analogy of the tortoise who keeps the senses within. Okay, so these are the type of things we have to teach our kids. And the earlier, the better. When a kid is already 2, 3 years old, they can learn all these things. You'd be surprised what they can learn. They're learning a lot of bad things because the parents are letting them watch television and have cell phones, they have computers, things like that. But you should give them all these good things. It's right here in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. This is what they should learn. Not all that nonsense that they're being taught now. They have sex education in fourth grade. How can a 4-year grade kid understand sex education? You know, that's type of abuse. So we should let kids be kids, not trying to make them adults when they're 10 years old or 9 years old or 8 years old or 5 years old. The kids don't have a chance to have you know to grow up naturally. They're being more or less forced to be sex maniacs and being uh, let's say by the time they're 15 years old, they're completely corrupt. You know, there are mothers and fathers nowadays when their daughter goes to a party or sleepover, they give them uh, what do you call them? Uh, uh, protective things for for sex. What is it called? Called um, condoms. They give them condoms, knowing well that the daughter is going to have. Our daughter's 14 or 15. She's going to have sex, so they give them condoms. This is crazy, you know. But this is what's happening, in some places. I would say every parent is doing that, but there are parents that do that, knowing that the 14-year-old girl is going to have sex. I mean, this is crazy. So in order to avoid her from getting pregnant, the mother gives the daughter the condom. And it's more prevalent than you would think. More prevalent than you would think. So therefore it says there are there are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures. Some of them are do nots, and some of them are do's. Unless one is able to follow the do's and the do nots, restricting oneself from sense enjoyment, it is not possible to be firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. There it is. That's our lesson today. There are do's and do nots, and one has to learn to follow them. So illicit sex, gambling, meat eating, intoxication, staying up late, waking up late, all those things are do nots. Associating with bad people who talk about sex. Uh, no, these are all do nots. Watching television, uh, you know, all these things are do nots. And even giving a cell phone to your kid is a do not. Shouldn't happen until they're an adult, at least till they're like 18, 19, 20 years old, because you definitely don't want to give it to them when they're like 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14. It's not right. It's not good. Okay. So unless one is able to follow the do's and the do nots, restricting oneself from sense enjoyment, it is not possible to be firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. So if you want to be a devotee, whether you're a kid or you're an adult, you have to follow the do's and the do nots and restrict oneself from sense enjoyment. Otherwise, it's not possible to be firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so we're near the end of our class. Are there any questions anyone would like to ask? And we are reading from second chapter, text 58.
Yeah, basically even the tortoise analogy example.
Tortoise.
Tortoise example is exactly Krishna wants us to remember here, because it's, as you said, some gurus encourage even in the
Some gurus what?
even even some gurus encourage that, okay, if you have some desire, fulfill it and get over with it. But there's nothing like fulfill and get over.
Yeah.
Osho had
Yeah,
that philosophy.
Yeah, he was teaching that. If you have a lot of sense gratification, eventually you get tired of it. It's not true.
Yeah.
You don't get tired of it. He's a fake. He was a fake teacher. That's why he died, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was talking nonsense. That's why he died. Yeah. We have to be able to control ourselves.
I also know some parents think like that too. It's like, oh, the kids want some video games. You can't stop them from playing video games, so let them wean out of the video games.
It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. There are people 50 years, 60 years old. They're playing video games. They've been playing the whole life. You know, those games get more and more sexual and more violent.
So Maharaj, it's a kind of, but we also see that putting more restrictions sometimes increase the curiosity and attraction towards something. So how do we balance these things?
Well, no, you restrict the bad things and you encourage the good things. So, what's wrong with the sports? What's wrong with chanting Hare Krishna, having festivals, and doing Sankirtan? Sankirtan is great physical, let's say, activity for a young person. You jumping up and down and dancing and singing. And
Yeah.
so we have our way of exercise, and they have their way of exercise. And so we have to have alternative things
Yeah.
that are fun.
Yeah. You kind of don't tell them, even if you have attachment to maybe uh, like TV or something, then maybe they can watch something which is Krishna conscious related stuff, for example.
Yeah, but then you would have to have a restricted television or cell phone or a restricted what do you call that? Restricted computer.
But didn't it come back to our main philosophy, Maharaj? Like we are ISKCON, we do total our senses rather than controlling the senses like yogis. So if we are restricting means okay, don't watch anything. So we are controlling the senses. But in fact, instead of that, maybe
No,
yeah.
that's the wrong statement. You have to have discretion. There are some do's and there's some do nots. So you just engage in the do's and you avoid the do nots. So
Yeah.
you can, let's say you go on the internet and you're seeing, the temple, what's going on in the temple. There's a festival going on in the temple. So you go and watch that. You're seeing the Rath Yatra festival. You watch that. You're hearing lectures given by devotees. You watch that. You have to have what you call uh, a
Engagement of the senses, but on the right things.
yes, yeah, eclectic. Look that word up, eclectic.
Eclectic.
Yeah, eclectic taste or eclectic sense of discrimination to
Driving ideas, style, or taste from a broad and diverse range of sources.
what?
Uh, Eclectic, right? Eclectic.
Okay.
It says that uh, deriving ideas, style, or taste from a broad and diverse range of sources.
Okay.
Unless I misspelled it. Okay.
Eclectic. But look up the second definition.
Yeah. Denoting or belonging to a class of ancient philosophers who did not belong to or found any recognized school of thought but selected doctrines from various schools of thought. And
Keep going. Third definition.
a person who same idea. A person who derives ideas, style, or taste from a broad and diverse range of sources. What examples are there?
But eclectic typically means like it's not one particular style. It's combining the styles, multiple styles.
I don't think so. Eclectic means you choose things that you.
Elements.
Yes, I mean that's basically what it is. So let's say eclectic design means it's not just following one design, but you choose combination of styles and then use it to create.
Maybe, but usually it's discernment.
Yeah.
What
So
is good? What is bad?
one more meaning is selecting what seems best from various styles,
There you go.
doctrine, ideas, methods, etc.
Yes, that's having an eclectic choice.
Selecting best from various styles.
Right.
But that's what, Maharaj, that also is approach that some speakers, in the spiritual path, they say, "Oh, I don't want to subscribe to one path. I want to create a bouquet of things, good things from each thing." Because I have seen people, that's all. They don't subscribe to one single process, and they say, "I will listen to this. I will listen to this. I will listen to this," and then they become eclectic.
Best from
Well, maybe. Okay, maybe that's not the right word. Then you have to have a power of discretion to choose what is favorable to Krishna consciousness and reject what is not favorable to Krishna consciousness. Yeah. We won't leave it up in the air.
Yeah.
Say,
Tie to Krishna consciousness.
yes.
So there is one question by Prabhuji, Gaur Gopal Prabhuji. So Prabhuji, you want to ask the question?
Uh,
Yes, go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Guru Maharaj,
Yes.
uh, as we discussed, due to social media or TV or any other things, generally children are influenced with sexual thoughts. Uh, so how we can attract them towards Krishna consciousness? Because generally what happen, if mind is engaged in sense gratification, then it's very difficult to train them in Krishna consciousness, because
So
due to sex education.
you have a
Ji Maharaj.
limited television. They can only see certain things on the television. You can program the television where they can only see certain things or go to only certain channels. They can't go all over the place.
Prabhuji, are you referring to generally other children and how to attract them to Krishna consciousness, or your own children? Or?
No, it's
Actually, I am teacher. So what happened? We got a bunch of students. So they are from different backgrounds. So we don't have control what they are seeing. How? So it's a public problem, because each and everyone, although parents are restricting them, but what happened? Children by their own, they are seeing those things.
Are you a public school teacher?
जी Guru Maharaj.
Are you a public school teacher?
जी, I have my own setup.
Yeah, he's saying yes.
Okay,
Yes,
what do you
yes,
mean?
Guru.
I mean, you're a bona fide teacher, like in the school system,
जी Guru Maharaj.
or you have your own school, or what? What do you what?
One type of school. I have my own school.
It's a private class.
Okay, and you're having problems with the kids?
Yes, because they are influenced with a lot of different thoughts, like because they are not that much value containing students as like previous used to.
Okay, now what kind of a what, what kind of a school do you have? Obviously, you must be an independent school, or you must have an independent school.
Actually, Guru Maharaj, in India, there is one type of private classes like who give teachings in teenagers age between 16 to 18 years old.
So you're teaching through the internet?
No, we have physical classes. Students can come in our place and we teach them in different subjects. Guru Maharaj.
Oh, okay. So you're tutors basically.
Yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes.
so you're doing that here though, because you live here, right?
No. You're dialing in from India.
Oh, you're dialing from India. Okay.
From
Yeah.
Aurangabad, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes, Guru. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the question is, you're getting kids, or you're asked to educate some children, and you get paid
Ji,
for it. Yeah.
ji.
And is it your own school, or you're working for some company?
It's our own school, Guru Maharaj, not for
Okay.
company.
All right. Now, do you vet the parents of the kids? See, or do you have like rules that the parents have to follow if you're going to educate their kids?
No, it's not like that.
All right. Then it could be that some of the kids that you have to teach are already contaminated by, because there's television, there's so many different ways they get contaminated.
Generally, 90% students are contaminated because from childhood they have exposure of different types of content before they are coming into our uh, classes. Their mind are totally distracted. So we need to spend a lot of energy to settle them down and uh, convert their mind on duty platform by which they can able to study because their
Oh,
mind is restless, na Guru Maharaj.
yeah, but see what usually happens then is that the good kids that like to study, they suffer because you're spending most of the time with the bad kids that don't like to study. Is that what you're experiencing, or do you only accept the bad kids and not the good kids?
No, Guru Maharaj, both are there, but uh, generally those are bad kids. No one is bad kids, but they are influenced by social media, na. So each and everyone, generally their mind is distracted.
Yeah,
So
but if you have kids that are distracted with kids that are really interested in being educated, what happens is you spend more times with the kids that are distracted than with the kids that are happy to learn.
Ji Guru Maharaj.
So why can't you separate the two? take the kids who are interested in being educated in one classroom and the kids that are, let's say, problematic in another classroom.
जी. Yes.
But you're not doing that now.
We are giving extra time to those who are disturbed.
Okay. But they're still in the same classroom as the kids who are interested in being educated.
Hmm.
Why can't you
Yes.
separate them?
We can, but we try to give extra time when class over. Then we spend some time with them. But what happened year after year? We got a bunch of students now, so there is very big gap between their understanding and maturity. Each year we got a very difficult task to overcome them.
So you're saying there's more kids that are not interested in being educated, and then kids who are being educated in your classes.
So, Maharaj, let
Actu-
me phrase his question. So, again, I'll repeat. Due to social media and TV, generally children influenced with sexual thoughts, how to attract them towards Krishna consciousness. So, exactly like what he's saying that,
But he's not trying to attract them toward Krishna consciousness. He's just
but that's the question.
no, he's talking about he's just trying to educate them.
no,
With
Guru
the
Maharaj. Actually, uh, we are giving education also, and simultaneously we try to make them like Krishna consciousness also. So generally, on the basis of duty, students can study also, but by giving up sense gratification or by avoiding those things, it's quite difficult to make them chant the name of Lord Hari or making or attract them towards Krishna. It's slightly difficult.
now, is this your own school or you're working for someone?
So, Maharaj,
Our own school, Maharaj.
It's your own school. Okay. And how many do you have different grades or you just take like one or two grades?
2 grades, Maharaj.
Okay. So it's your own school. You're only dealing with kids in two grades. And what are the ages of those two grades?
16 and 18-year-old. They are
Oh my God.
teenagers.
Yeah. Now, the kids that you get, are they problematic kids or kids that really want to learn?
Both types.
Both types. Wow. Yeah, but like an
It's mixed
18-year-old
crowd.
kid, what are you teaching him? I mean, you trying to teach him how to get into college or what? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you have a different system in India than the United States. Uh, so these are kids who have not been academically, let's say, successful. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. So the parents put them in your specialized school to bring them up to par with kids who have already been successful and already are in college or something like that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yes.
so
Okay. Hmm. Well, I mean, obviously, you have to talk to the parents and tell them, first of all, they must bring those kids to you because they know that the kids have problems. Is that right?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Okay. So you would have to talk to the parents also to make sure that they don't permit the kids to have free access to nonsense things because you can't pour water on a fire with one hand and gasoline with the other hand. You're going to have to stop the gasoline in order to put it out. the parents would have to be, you'd have to work together to, fix the kids' problems. The problem is they can't concentrate. They haven't done well with their studies and so forth. So that's why they come to you. But the parents have to also do things to, orient the kid towards being someone interested in learning and eventually getting into a college. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Right.
Okay. Without the help of the parents, see, you might be giving good instructions to the kids, but as soon as they get home, if they have free reign to, go on the internet and do nonsense things, it's like the parents are just wasting their money. So they must be wealthy parents. You must not have any kids from poor families, or do you?
Both, Guru Maharaj. Some are from poor, some are from good families.
Okay. Well, that's good what you're doing. I mean, I wish you success in what you're doing. So, but see, if you have the less academic kids mixed with the academic kids, it's academic kids that suffer because you have to spend a lot of time with the kids that are not interested in being educated.
Is it easy to get the parent support in India, Prabhu, or they expect you to deal with all the things?
Generally, parents are not able to understand how much students are degraded because students pretend in front of them like they are very innocent and they don't have problem, but internally mind is so disturbed. So parents are not able to understand what exactly happening to their children because they thought their children are so innocent, but social environment is like that. uh, Things are quite not that much good. So generally parents expect from us we make them stable, focused, and uh, s- got some result from their children actually. So we need to teach them we need to teach academic to them, and simultaneously we need to incorporate moral values
Values.
also.
So, how successful are you at doing that? Is it like 50%, 80%, 100%,
We
10%?
can 60 to 70% we have success ratio after
Okay, that's
uh,
good.
after taking admission in our class. We make them very focused, and we try our best actually, and
Yeah.
lot of students got change in their life also. But we want to do more because each and everyone we thought each and everyone is priceless, so we try to improve ourselves.
Okay, very good. It's a very noble thing that you're doing. But do you tell the parents, get rid of the television, take the cell phone away from them, or you don't say anything?
Sorry, Guru Maharaj.
Do you give any suggestions to the parent?
Yes, 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 yes.
And do you have like those kind of parent teacher conferences
Like
or meetings?
when students are taken in our institute, then we tell them uh, they must avoid mobile to students. We close each and every social media account from their mobile, uh, and we tell them try to spend more and more time in our classes with teachers rather than spending time with their own friends. So by which we can able to uh, make more work with them actually.
So you don't have recesses where they go and play in a playground or something?
Yes, we also go with them
Uh-huh. What are the age
because
groups again? They're like 16 to 18 years old or what?
yes, only that
Uh,
that much. Bro.
Okay. Well, good luck. You're doing a wonderful thing. I'm sure the parents really appreciate it.
Thank you
Okay.
very
Thank
much.
you for the solution.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hare
I mean,
Krishna.
I think, I mean, Prabhuji, I think your specific question now is like, is there anything else
Yeah, we can do it.
other
Yes,
than what they're doing that
yes,
can further
yes, yes.
make it? Yeah, I think that's the question, Maharaj. Is like, is there anything else that they should do or think about? I mean, I think your main suggestion
If,
is make parents really partners. But
hmm,
I think, I mean, because I'm also in the school side a little bit. So I know that some of the schools, what they do is like, let's say 60%, 70% you have success, means that those are the kids, their families that support you, and then there are others. So you probably need to have like stricter rules for them, saying otherwise you drop them off of your system almost, right? Because otherwise the parents should feel like we can only change it, but we're observing these things, and I don't know. You need to make parents partners in your education system somewhat.
Well, excuse me. Um, the usually, like for example, have you ever read the um, oh geez, forgetting right now. Um, yeah, in ancient times, uh, in order to educate kids, they did they did not. They realized it was difficult because the kids couldn't keep their focus on learning. So therefore, the teachers started. Some teachers started uh, uh, educating them by proverbs and stories. Stories that have good, uh, principles and entertaining type of stories with some,
Values.
values rather than academic teaching that you have to memorize this or that. And the kids would have fun, you know. Uh, so this happened a long time ago when teachers saw that kids were not very interested in being educated. So then they came up with a different system of education where they would be telling stories all the time that were interesting and fun, and there would be some moral to the story. So they would learn things at the same time as being entertained by them.
Panchatantra?
Yeah, Panchatantra is an example. You have different systems nowadays. You have what do you call that?
Gurukul.
Huh?
Gurukul was
No, you had different systems. Uh, American systems of educating kids.
Pedagogy.
Huh?
Pedagogy.
No, that's not pedagogy. It's uh, anyway, I forget that. So what you're doing is very good, Prabhu, and I think it's very challenging for you. But because these kids are like between 16 and 18, so they're already been contaminated, and they don't have the ability to focus very much. So, what are the techniques that you use to build up their ability to focus and be able to have sustainable advancement in their knowledge?
Actually, first of all, we understand them how much they are disturbed. Then,
Okay.
we play with them different types of sports and make them our friends by which they can uh, open their mind in front of us.
Mhm.
And when they open themselves, then we are able to understand how much they are corrupted. And by giving different types of example of previous students in our class, uh, we present fact in front of them. If you do this, you will got this. If you do, if you are not doing this, then you can suffer. And it's totally depend how much we have a good relationship with them. If we are able to make good relationship with them as a friend, as a guide, as a teacher, then generally it happen. mm, Students can do good as compared to their previous one, but due to personal limitation, uh, we can able to have a good contact with 20, 30 students up out of 60, 70 students or 80, 100 students. So we can able to catch that much students only. uh, we have one monthly motivational speaker also
Mhm.
from our brahmacharis here, but that uh, it it create impact uh, up to some extent. So generally we are doing these things. We organize one yatra within a year also in Vrindavan. So uh, 70, 80 students used to come there with sometime with their parents also.
Mhm.
So we give them parallel life also, like this is material life as generally we are spending in our general uh, in our general days, and this is one type of spiritual life we can spend like this also. So these things we are doing generally.
Well, that's very, very nice to hear. And so, what is it? So, you're about what, successful with 50% of the students, 60%?
Actually 60, 70% students, when they came in our institution, they
Yeah.
started chanting at least one round. uh, 10, 20 students, they 10, 20% students, they chanting Hare Krishna mantra up to 16 round for their whole life. Like some pass out students, they are continuously chanting also. And other, we are not able to tap other people. Generally we lost 30, 40% student per year. We tried a lot, but we are not able to catch them because personal, as a personal limitation, or we don't know, we are not able to catch them. But generally 60, 70% they have uh, good impression regarding academics also, and like a sense
Krishna
of duty
conscious.
also, Krishna consciousness also.
Well, that's very good. I mean, 60, 70%. It's a good number. So continue doing it. And we wish you well. Uh, it's a noble thing that you're doing. You're giving them spiritual education and material education. Uh, so that's better than what they learn in other places. So Haribol, thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Okay, well, I guess we're finished now.
Yeah.
And we'll see you 11 hours from now. uh, Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, right? So thank you very much, Prabhu. It was very interesting speaking with you, and hope to hear you more.
Yes.
Haribol.
Very wonderful seva.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
All right.